Magandang araw. Ako si Kuya Code. Today we'll be continuing to learn Python through coding challenges in Hackerrank, and today's challenge will be an introduction to tuples. So in this example, a tuple is a great way to represent mathematical objects that require multiple numbers. So for instance, coordinates in a 2D game can just simply be point 2D equals 3, 5. Of course, you could have points you could have a 3D system as well. Point 3D, let's do like -1. And of course, this could be used for mathematical equations as well. For example, you do A, B, C equals, we'll do 1, -2, 1, and then you could print a formatted string. So with a formatted string, these curly braces just get replaced by or replaces the variable with the actual value. So you could do, actually I'll just grab it from here. So if I were to print this, as you can see down there, the A is replaced by 1, the B is replaced by -2, the C is replaced by 1, and then it just prints it as a string. And then likewise, if I just print point 2D like that, same thing with the 3D version. It just prints the tuple exactly the way that you see here. So why are tuples useful? Well, for one, they're immutable. So once you create it, you can't change it. Like in a list, I could index, actually I'll just do it here. In a list, you could index like this, which still works, except you are not able to do this. If I say point 2 equals 7, and then do that, it doesn't work because it's immutable and you can't assign it. So that's actually good for math because it ensures integrity of constants or fixed points. Also, tuples use less memory, which makes it more useful for large-scale operations. Um, and something else that you would do instead of reassigning, if I have a vector 1, 2, -1, 4, vector 2 equals that. And then vector 3 would just be a combination, so you have to add them, save it in a new variable, and then you could just print out vector 3. Oops. Which would be this. These two equal 5, these two are -3, and then these two are 5. And of course, I could also have a list of points. Well, actually, yeah, I could use that. Point 2, point 3 for point in points. And I will do another, oops, this autocorrect, not really autocorrect, it's just auto-typing for me. You know what, we'll not do point 2, point 3, we'll just do, make my own. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just like before, point, you can still index. So this is the first one, this is the second one. But of course, this has to be in the brackets because this is for the format, which is what the F is for. And then 0.12, 0.3, 0.56, which is pretty straightforward. One other thing that tuples are good for is hashing. So since tuples are immutable, it allows them to be hashed. A hash function is it's like a box. You put stuff into it, like a number, a word, or a tuple, and it produces a unique summary, which is usually a number. This is called a hash value or a code, hash code. So hash values or the hash function is deterministic, so the same input is always give the same hash value. Um, Computing a hash put is very quick no matter the size of the input, and hash values usually have a fixed size regardless of the input, and uniqueness. So generally, different inputs usually produce the same hash value, although collision is possible. So there's in some rare cases you could have two different pieces of data, like like two tuples or string, pass through the hash function, and they'll produce the same hash value, which is bad because it causes data to be overwritten. So, for example, if I just do so I have my point. Um, I could just print. I got my point 2D, the hash. There's a built-in hash function like this, and you just put point 2D in it, point 2D in it, and then it creates this giant long series of numbers, which is what the hash value is. In a future lesson, we'll get into another data type or data structure called dictionary. So it's a key value pair, and the key is always hashed. So whenever you're searching for something in the dictionary, has very quick lookups because, like I said, those are generally pretty quick. So as for this coding lesson, this is pretty straightforward because given an integer n and n space separate integers as input, create a tuple, and then we just have to print the hash value of the tuple. So first things first, we'll do our regular receive the first input, which is just n. And now n is going to be multiple numbers, so we'll make that into a list first. So I have input dot, that turns it into a list, but instead of just turning into a list, I'm actually going to use something called map. And what that means is that the string, as I mentioned in a previous video, automatically defaults the values to string, or the input automatically defaults the value to string. So we're splitting it up into multiple strings, and then the map is going to go through every one of these strings and do this function, which is going to turn them all into integers. So this is basically just converts every single string in the series right here into integers, and then you can just wrap that in tuple. So now that we have our tuple, we'll just call it t, and then we should be able to just hash that. So hash t equals hash of t, and then we can just print t, and let's see how that works. Oh, for some reason, okay, I am on the right one, I believe. Tuple map int input dot split hash t print hash list. Oh, that's why. I printed the wrong one. Okay, that's it for that. Submit. Okay, that's it. We're done. This is a short video for today. So if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more coding challenges. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. And see you next time on Kuya Code. Paalam.